What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? People climbing through ductwork to get in between rooms. Most ducts are not big enough for a person to fit in. And very spiky. Even if they are big enough. Those bands around most ducts? They are screwed in place. And nobody trims those suckers down. So you should be getting stabbed every 18 inches. Turning on the TV and what they needed to hear is on TV in the right channel at the right time. Women waking up and going to sleep with a full face of makeup. And, if they're large BR-stead, their BRSTs don't fall to the side. Attorneys pacing around during a trial and attorneys approaching the judge without asking. My personal favorite is when a new, damning piece of evidence or witnesses is presented in the middle of trial to the complete surprise of the opposing party. Like sorry buddy but discovery deadline was a month ago. You should know this. Or when the victim of some sort of violence is testifying and still has cuts, bruises from the incident. No. Trial prep takes forever. Walking up to a microphone and it squeals feedback. Always. In reality, that shouldn't happen unless the sound person is a moron. It only happens when the person speaking is awkward or had something really lame to say. Blows to the head, knocking someone out for exactly as long as is convenient for the plot with no long-term consequences whatsoever. Even otherwise realistic shows and movies are guilty of this. In reality, and blow to the head strong enough to knock you out is likely to cause brain damage or even death. People taking their eyes off the road for like 5 seconds. They always turn themselves completely around to talk to people in the back seat or beside them. As if they couldn't hear each other otherwise. Whenever someone is working on a vehicle, they are quite often using a pipe wrench or huge crescent wrench. Neither are going to get you too far working on a vehicle. LMAO yeah, and no matter what job they're supposedly doing. It requires sliding under the car on a creeper directly in the middle so the viewers only see their legs at first when the other characters come in and start talking to them. Constantly turning ratchets but never producing any bolts or old parts to show for it. Always being able to take off work to go on last vacations and always having the money for last-minute flights. Next time you see two characters having a conversation in the front of a car, pay attention to the rearview mirror. More often than not, it's been removed for a cleaner shot of the characters. Headrests on the front seats. 2. Any movie where the villain who is beating the S out of the hero decides to brag or monologue before killing them. Which gives the hero enough time for a sneak attack or for somebody else to intervene. Or he leaves the hero on his own after telling him exactly how he plans to kill him. Again, allowing time for the escape, rescue. If you're gonna do it, just do it already. Immediate DNA results. Similarly, immediate hacking. 2 seconds typing, I'm in. That autistic kids are either dumb as F or they are like the next step in evolution. And the last time I checked, they're all boys. Apparently, movie writers don't think female autistics exist. Rom-coms, not just explaining their motives or actions. Action, thriller, not lying when they have a gun to their head. It's always say nothing or the truth in an interrogation scene. Rom-coms woman, why were you with that beautiful blonde woman? Don't you love me? Why did you cheat on me? I'm going to my sister's. We're done. Goodbye. Man, honey. Let me expl. Woman, goodbye. John. Slams door. Man, Christ. I can't even have lunch with my cousin? People with long hair, often women, fighting with their hair down. I can't even eat noodle soup with my hair down. Never mind doing anything remotely physical. The food. The poor, long-suffering food. No one eats it. No one enjoys it. People go to restaurants primarily to order something, have it arrive, and then have an argument and storm out. ETA, now already in this comment thread many times. 1. Food is a nightmare to shoot for continuity, quality, actors getting full reasons. 2. Yes. We all hate the someone cooks an epic breakfast and someone else just runs through and grabs a piece of toast scene. And it's always toast. And what psychopath eats a whole piece of dry toast without anything to wash it down? 3. Yes. Brad Pitt eats. And Chris Pratt. Women shipwrecked wearing sleeveless tops and not having underarm hair. Apocalypse movies too. Smooth pits all around. We need food, water, medicine. And razors or else we'll never make it. The beatings people take and how quickly they get up from devastating blows. Or when someone is knocked unconscious and remains so for hours to days and is totally fine. If you are straight knocked TF out for an hour and then wake up, you aren't just gonna shake the cobwebs out and get back to taking down an entire mob family. You are FK'd up. How long was I out? A few minutes. That's like super bad for you. You should go to the hospital. I love Archer for details like concussions and tinnitus. Need a guy out of plot for a little while? Why not just hit him on the head really hard? Yeah. He'll probably just have a nap and a 10-second headache when he wakes up. Sorry. John was unconscious for a full minute and now is a vegetable. Related, pistol whipping someone. Oh yeah, I'll just smash this guy across the face with a 2-pound hunk of metal. I'm sure he'll just be ouchie as if I punched him. In real life, broken jaw, broken orbital, or a concussion depending on where you land it. Grip strength. People hanging off of anything. One-handed. For long times. Holding on to other people. Pulling themselves up. General population can't do a pull-up. Or falling 15 to 20 feet and catching a ledge with one hand. Also, wouldn't that just dislocate your arm? There is obviously no coffee in the cup. Orders coffee. Immediately takes huge a sip. Dude, let that S cool off a minute. I used to think that was fake too. But my wife actually does that. We pour 2 cups of coffee in the morning. While I am blowing and sipping to cool that S down. She has finished her first cup and poured her second. It is freaky. When people slice the palm of their hand open for a drop of blood. That S will take forever to heal. Just pee your finger. Damn. When someone obviously lies. Stammering and umming and awing and looking this way and that. And everyone in the audience can see they're lying. But the person they are lying to, staring them in the face from 2 feet away, completely believes them. Courtroom confessions. But also just courtroom scenes in general. First, nobody confesses to a crime while on the witness stand at somebody else's trial. Nobody. Second, have you been to court? It's 97% waiting around. 2% wondering if you have time to go to the bathroom. And 1% anything to do with you or your case. Exactly. And cases go on for months, sometimes even years. And judges do not take last-minute evidence and do not accept interruptions or anything like that, at least not in Australia. You cannot walk randomly into a courtroom while a hearing or trial is in progress. Kids are rarely used as witnesses and are treated with disrespect by the defendant's lawyer. Usually talked into believing they misremember what they saw, experienced. Their evidence becomes so dicey they usually have to throw it out. Working as a waitress, or some other near minimum wage, poverty wage job and having excessive time off and money and things like huge houses. This exact thing, the single mom waitress in a 3,000 square foot apartment with a 2-year-old car and an amazing haircut. King hate that beyond belief. Another version of that is basically anyone on HGTV. My husband is a part-time kindergarten teacher and I make artisanal toilet seats. We have a budget of $8 million. Bad guy receives a mortal wound like a point-blank gunshot to the torso or deep knife wound and just lays there bleeding profusely for a minute with the protagonist immediately forgetting about them. Then is able to somehow stand up and have like an 8-round boxing match with the protagonist before finally being finished off. Would expand that to fatally injured characters in general all getting the power to teleport when not on screen. Translating an ancient text but then it still rhymes. Curs who yank out their IVs. Tugged on mine once and King cried. I remember waking up from a surgery and trying to do this when I was a kid because I was groggy and scared and the pain was so bad I threw up on myself. Empty cups and cans and suitcases. For crying out loud. Just put some water in that Starbucks cup. Give our brains a little help ignoring the glaring ignorance to the laws of fluid dynamics. Gravity. And the human musculoskeletal system. Put some water in those suitcases. I would watch that show. Gunshot to the leg and they can still walk. One to the lungs and they're breathing fine. One in the heart and they either die instantly or spend a whole minute talking. It is 10 to 20 seconds, not 6 minutes. Shot in the leg. Limp like a mother cur for about 2 minutes. Then race up 6 flights of stairs. Jump from one building to the other. Then jump 6 stories into an open garbage truck for the lucky getaway. Tomorrow barely a noticeable limp at all. Heroes never reloading their weapons. Or when they do. And they just drop the magazine and go. Those things aren't cheap. If you're an 80s action movie star, you just throw guns down after they run out of ammo and take up the ones from the bad guys you just took down and they're magically full instead. Repeat that process until you get to the ultimate bad guy, where everyone is supposed to throw their guns away and turn it into a fist fight. The standard car flips over 5 times and catches on fire, and every single F-king time. Vin Diesel walks out unscathed. Worse still because he's not even been cast in the film. Complete lack of legal consequences. I need to kill the time-traveling baddie by stealing this cop's gun and knocking him out. Yay, I succeeded. What do you mean? I am now under arrest for multiple felonies including murder and assaulting a police officer. Somebody writing flawless code in 60 seconds. Most hackers in films even hack into highly secured government websites within seconds. Heck. I can't remember which movie, show it was in, but they dusted the keyboard for fingerprints and got the login and password from that. Most amazing hacking I have seen. Silencers do not mute the gun. It only makes the sound more tolerable. The scene in John Wick 2 where John and Cassian are sneakily shooting at each other with silenced pistols in the middle of a crowded subway terminal is so F-king stupid, and I love it. How mature the high school students look. Have you ever looked at a high school yearbook? Just watch an episode of Glee. The freshmen are obviously in their 20s and 30s. Greece would like to have a word. How it takes less than a week to develop a vaccine for a global pandemic, and by a brilliant scientist who was kicked out of their institution for being too radical. And it's one scientist who comes up with the final solution that they of course inject themselves with it first and have their results instantly. That's not how science works. And that's definitely not what testing a vaccine looks like. No cleanup after SX. Or before. And synchronized org Ms after 10 seconds of SX. The 10 seconds part is accurate though. In medieval fantasy, whenever there is a siege weapon they fire one shot and then charge. Like, bitch, it took you a month to erect that trebuchet and you're only going to fire it once? During the siege scene in The King, they sat around for days and days hurling stones at the castle until the wall finally fell, and I was like, yes. Thank you. Single quote. People Googling exactly what's happening to them and getting the answers they're looking for. Happens a lot in scary movies. A house is being haunted by the ghost of a tall man. And the owners Google tall man ghost and find exactly the article that explains who the ghost is and what happened to him. Never saying goodbye, or equivalent, when finishing a phone call, they just hang up. Also, making plans with someone without specifying the time and or place. Him, can I take you out for dinner tonight? Her, sure, pick me up at 8. Him at 8, I really should have asked for her number. Or her address. Or name. Or. There's an SNL sketch about that. CLAIIIIIRE. Finding car keys hidden behind a car's sun visor. I don't know a single real human who has ever used this method when stashing keys. I need information from this computer. Tech guy runs over and starts hammering wildly on the keyboard. I'm in. The keyboard is plugged into a Xbox. And the OS is Windows 2000. Also, every single hacker takes the time to change to neon green font and a black background for their terminal. So no one's gonna talk about how in a 1 versus 5 to 6 fight scene all the attackers wait for their turn to get their kicked by the alpha guy one by one. And not attacking him altogether? When some stranger comforts or distracts a kid from something horrible with some bull's tea. The kid just saw their mom get eaten by a werewolf. A toy train and the hero hugging them does nothing. I also hate how most kids act like drugged up, placid morons. Or on the opposite end of that scale possess the wisdom of an 80-yo when the adults are clueless.